ukuthi uzovimba umntwana kanjani kanjani umphuka i-right yakhe umntwana singama-Africans sibamnyama sonke yindaba bengayenzi nakwabanye abantwana kugcwele ama-China lana kugcwele ama-Pakistani kugcwele abelungu baphesheya kugcwele e-South Africa yini indaba umuntu omnyama elwa nomnye umuntu omnyama azikhuthwe zonke azihambe zonke if bathi masihambe makuhambe wonke umuntu abangakhethi yayizwa leyo nto
ikhona into engiyidalule ngidawuthi ukushona kwengane
yes hayi ziyashona impela la e-Addington ziyashona izingane ngoba phela.
Ladies and gentlemen, on January 14, 2026, while most South African parents were nervously adjusting school uniforms and pretending their kids were excited for the new year, Addington Primary School in Durban turned into a live-action episode of Judge Judy Playground Edition. No gavel, just placards, chanting, police vans, and adults arguing about who deserves a desk more than who.
Yes. For heaven is here for heaven. I can't go anywhere. South Africa is my country and African is the Africa country. No one gonna go. No one is gonna go. And our children gonna go to school. And another Addington school. You're gonna still you.
At the center of the chaos, the March and March movement, who arrived at the school gates like they were storming parliament, claiming foreign children were stealing places meant for South African kids, and across from them, immigrant parents and a handful of local allies standing their ground, reminding everyone that the law doesn't come with a passport stamp. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth everyone keeps dodging. South Africa's constitution is not a vibes-based document. It doesn't say every child has a right to basic education except when politics is hot. Section 29 of the constitution is very clear. Every child has the right to basic education. Not South African children, not documented children. Every child. No footnotes, no asterisks, no terms and conditions apply. And yet, here we were, adults screaming at each other while kids just wanted to know where they were going to sit. The March and March movement said nearly 100 South African children were being turned away, some after sitting on waiting lists since April 2025. Parents were told to look for schools as far as Overport, which in South Africa basically means good luck with transport money, comrade. And that frustration, that part is valid. Nobody should be walking kilometers for a basic right. But here is where the logic collapses like a poorly built RDP house. Instead of aiming that anger at the Department of Education, at government planning failures, at overcrowded infrastructure, or at municipalities that can't focus population growth, the anger gets redirected at other children. Not policymakers, not treasury, not the people who approve budgets, children. And that's where things get morally bankrupt. Because while much and much argued about citizenship, the law was just sitting there like, guys, I already settled this. The South African Schools Act, the Constitution, and international child rights conventions all say the same thing. You do not punish a child for the politics of adults. Nationality is a legal status. Childhood is a human reality. And the law prioritizes the human one. The KwaZulu-Natal Department of Education stepped in trying to pour cold water on a burning mess, saying admissions are first come, first served. No nationality discrimination. No nationality discrimination. And that the school had simply reached full capacity. Translation, there are not enough classrooms, not enough teachers, and not enough space. This isn't a foreigner problem. This is a government planning problem. But of course, nuance doesn't trend. Anger does. So there were chants, there were insults, There were accusations of schools being hijacked. There were claims of undocumented children sneaking in through the back door of the system. And somewhere in all of this, actual children were watching adults fight about them like they were sacks of potatoes.
They said, you can't ask us to vote, and then when we voted, you want to cater for the whole of Africa. You know, because they like saying that everyone has a right, but what the rights also have limitations. And the limitation to those rights is that there must be available resources. If there are no available resources, you have nothing that forces you to cater to South African children. We don't have a problem with them as human beings, but we don't owe them anything. We don't owe these African people anything. They've got their government. There's Mnangagwa there. He was buying cars for his people. Instead of going to Zimbabwe fighting him to build them schools so they don't have to come here, they're busy here fighting us. We don't owe these people anything. They don't vote. You see these ones, they don't vote. They were not born here. They're not South Africans. In the morning they can wake up and go to their country. What option do we have? What option do our children have? And it's time now. We're calling on all patriotic South Africans. We're calling on lawyers, we're calling on advocates, anyone who's in the legal fraternity to help us take this government on, because they're taking us for a ride. We know that the government ministers and MECs or whoever and the president have minds in Africa that they're busy protecting at the expense of South African children. They must take those minors and go with them to wherever they want, and they must take care of their minds, not at the expense of South African children. Never. Never. Just say so.
I understand that there have been some of the people just here, but also in other areas as well. What has been the movement?
Police were deployed, gates were locked, and South Africa once again proved that when systems fail, we don't protest the system, we protest each other. Now, let's talk law versus emotion. Emotion says, my child must come first. Law says, all children come first. Emotion says, foreigners are taking our resources. Law says, government must expand resources. Emotion says, this is about nationality. Reality says, this is about capacity. And capacity is not created by shouting at parents. It's created by policy, planning, budgets, and political will, none of which were standing outside Addington Primary that morning. What makes this even uglier is that children don't understand geopolitics. They don't understand immigration policy. They don't understand national identity debates. They understand backpacks, pencils, and being told you don't belong here. That they understand. And that kind of message doesn't bounce off. It stays. And here's the bitter irony. Many of the same people shouting protect the children were actively traumatizing children in real time. Let's be honest. This country has a habit of confusing accountability with scapegoating. Schools are overcrowded, not because migrant kids woke up one morning and decided to flood classrooms, but because government planning didn't keep up with urban migration, population growth, and housing density. Remove all the foreign students from that area, and you will still have a school filled to capacity with local people, and some having to be told that the school is full to capacity. Durban's Point area has been congested for years. That didn't start in 2026. And instead of building more schools, we built more arguments. By the afternoon, calm returned. No arrest, no resolution, just a temporary silence like a storm pausing before the next lightning strike. And that's the real danger. Nothing has been fixed. The classrooms are still full. The waiting lists still exist. The resentment is still simmering. The kids are still confused. So, here's the Mzansi Roast takeaway. You cannot fix a broken education system by fighting at school gates. You cannot defend children by traumatizing other children. And you cannot claim to love the Constitution when it suits you and ignore it when it doesn't. This is not a nationality crisis. This is a governance crisis, and until South Africa starts treating it as such, Addington Primary won't be the last school to turn into a battleground. It will just be the rehearsal. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want more fearless, law-aware, no-nonsense breakdowns of the stories everyone else is scared to touch, you know what to do. Subscribe, share, and let's keep roasting hypocrisy until it sweats. And to all South Africans, what do you think about this situation? Do you think children of foreign nationals should not attend public schools at all? And why?